What's up, Taurus? So we got first a card pulled from the Herbal Astrology Oracle deck, and this is by Adriana Ayales. And then we'll go into the actual reading itself, okay? And this card was Chamomile, which is inner peace, okay? Peace, restoration, softness, purity, graceful power, inner peace, delight, and harmony. The word chamomile is derived from the Greek camellia, meaning ground apple. In Spain, it has been called manzanilla, or little apple, for hundreds of years. A reference to the plant's refreshing, crisp, apple-like aroma, chamomile flowers are traditionally used in teas, tinctures, and formulas to treat anxiety, insomnia, depression, digestive upset, and antiseptic and more. Chamomile was regarded as sacred in ancient Egypt and commonly burned as an incense as an offering to the sun god Ra. Ancient Romans and Greeks valued chamomile for its medicinal properties, used it as a healing beverage, and to soothe skin conditions. During the Middle Ages, European doctors frequently prescribed chamomile syrups and ointments to treat various ailments, and it was used as a bittering agent in beer. Vikings regarded chamomile as one of the 9 sacred herbs and used it to soothe digestion, as a rinse for their hair, to give their braids strength and shine. Although chamomile embodies the shining sun, its medicinal qualities are also aligned to the archetype of the moon. The moon rules the gastrointestinal system, emotional body, and nervous system on a soul level. Chamomile flowers assist us in releasing stored emotional tension from our stomach, nervous system, and solar plexus. Chamomile deeply nurtures our emotional landscape, able to soothe emotional distress and psychic stressors. If you find yourself often triggered, this is the guidance portion. If you find yourself often triggered and consumed by small stresses, be aware that they accumulate, creating a chronic state of disharmony and fear. Chamomile today is reminding you to not project your fears onto life and others. Allow yourself a state of inner peace and give yourself the greatest love imagined. Chamomile, like their energy, instills a contained center of innocence, warmth, and light within us. There blesses us with the power of gentleness to heal our wounds and the heart-mind of wounded beings. Don't push too hard to, quote-unquote, do the work. It's the gentleness of spirit that heals all. And I will, so first off, the most important thing to get off is, if there is some sense of kind of disturbance right now that anybody may be feeling, in terms of actually like feeling just distressed or stressed out emotionally about a lot of things, right? So the idea of like not having a true grip on in terms of emotional control, definitely take a beat and think about that and understand that, because this idea of what's happening, and you need to understand that there's a very real stressor that could be really testing. In terms of today, the astrological weather is making me say that now, but this is just, in any case, you can also have people, right? People that actually enter into your life that really know how to push your buttons, or know when to press and push your buttons, or you can just be simply accumulating different stressors that essentially just one day are able to make a person snap. And that's, you need to take a beat and understand what that means, right? What the consequence is, just to give you guys an understanding. Either sometime this weekend, I'll say, there's a UFC fighter who had whose son, right? So the son of the UFC fighter essentially got into a lot of trouble, or not into a lot of trouble, but he was essentially just basically convinced to, I mean, not convinced, but he was rage baited, right? Like to essentially harm someone else, and that could very well cost him his life in terms of his freedom. So you should definitely be very much understanding, and or not understanding that there could be something, when there is something pushing your buttons, and be able to kind of understand the emotional control that's required to really deal with the situation, to avoid any future consequences that would definitely be we'll say disharmonious, we'll say, right? And that's kind of the I think that one of the main things I think that really comes to mind, this idea of inner peace, releasing emotional tension, things like that. You should definitely understand also the idea of releasing emotional tension, right? Being able to maybe go out and just release the tension itself. So, I think a lot of us may have seen people like punch pillows or something like that, but there's also kind of like finding a space where you can just kind of like yell into the void, or just kind of get it off your chest. A lot of times there's even an exercise where you can write letters that you never send, and you can just essentially burn the letter after you write it. And I definitely recommend burning the letter, so you don't like just have it laying around for like someone to pick up and find. But the idea here is that you need to find an outlet for that, right? And in a lot of cases, that can be simply like, if you like if you have like a person, like a gym you can go to, working out, but also like punching the heavy bag. Those things are great in terms of actually getting the frustration and having a vent for that frustration, because we can use that, and we can also turn that into something very much healthy if we use it the right way. So understand that and get into that, but like also understand that there are places in your body that hold emotional tension sometimes, right? So this idea of like, where's the tension being held up, start to kind of explore that, right? And starts to think like, okay, well, there are, for instance, I'll just walk you through this. You can like kind of like start to feel this for people who actually like have developed an awareness to where they can kind of sense within their body the emotional tension, and you can just talk, right? What is that emotional sense saying? So basically translate that sensation into words, so you can further maybe get help understanding it. And that could be very much needed for some people who are able to do that. But in terms of the idea here, this is a very, very much a serious plant, and one that I didn't take as seriously before, in terms of like knowing that chamomile tea was, kind of, every time I see the card, even though it has such a powerful like signature for something like the new moon energy, right? The sun. This card is ruled by both the sun and the moon, so it's moon energy and sun moon energy. So that's whether that be a full moon or a new moon. But the idea here is that this right here, this idea of chamomile being regarded as sacred in ancient Egypt and commonly burned as an incense as an offering to the sun god Ra. That was something that was definitely appeal, or not, definitely woke me up about just how important and how impactful this idea of inner peace can be. When we want to do anything in the world, having a sense of peace and it's important, right? Like you can I'm thinking about the this is like Hellsing for people who don't know. It's like a movie about a vampire hunter, and the vampire hunter is hunting Dracula, right? And there's a point where Dracula's like, usually, he's monologuing. He's like, usually when I hunt, I can hear the heartbeat, right? I can hear it, and he starts doing like the dance, like clapping, it's like a, it's a rhythm. It's a very real rhythm to it, and he gets kind of like excited, and then he says, but with yours, you have a very steady heartbeat. And that right there, like, it was just like Van Helt, like that idea, the maturity in terms of dealing with situations like that. It was something that Dracula immediately he noticed. It wasn't like something to where like that was even able to hide from anybody who's really experienced in terms of somebody like Dracula. So this idea of really being in this element of appealing to the sun god Ra, it makes more sense, right? Because we have a very real understanding that comes across with this idea of people who are able to enter into, just going back to that analogy, or going back to that earlier understanding, where the son of a UFC fighter got into this particular trouble. That's not a seasoned person, right? That's not a person that you can really entrust in terms of any type of battle or any type of real sense of power. Okay, that's it. So what this needs to turn into for you is understanding that this sense of inner peace, it comes with greater power, right? Being able to control that, hone that, and also finding a healthy outlet would definitely help you maintain and gain more power over this element, and be able to approach things from a level head. And being able to do that, it gives you, it does make you better able to handle threats on all fronts, right? So conversationally, argumentatively, and also like when it comes down to even physical altercations, right? When you understand, and when you understand, like really seasoned fighters, there's a calm before a fight. There's a very real calm, and there's an understanding that, hey, I understand where this could go. And not only do I understand where this could go, but I'm already thinking about ways to which I can respond, and rather than react to you, right? And when you respond, you think about things that are better. You think about the outcome of situations and scenarios, and that could be something that you really need to really have an understanding of, and be willing to tackle, right? In terms of this idea of being able to be moved emotionally, right? See that as something that needs to be tackled, something that you need to address, right? And that right there, in any case, we're gonna end it there. And I'm had first off, next week I'll see you next week, and have a good week. But also, please like and subscribe, and I will see you soon either way. Thanks.